Grant, are we on television as yet?
Yes, we are on air.
We are on air. Okay. We have a quorum. We're missing Reza. I believe that is the only person that is missing at this time. If you could give him a call and find out if he's having problems, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to call.
We're missing Cash. He gave me a proxy for certain votes.
He cannot give a proxy, and I'm aware that he's not going to be here. So that's the way it is.
Why can't he give me a proxy? Proxy is a standard way of I'm absent, but I want to vote a certain way.
Okay, I'm very sorry. We do not allow proxies.
Why is that? May I ask?
It is in the governing docs. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to call the regular.
Sorry, Sue. I just want to say about the Reza, maybe he has a problem with the computer. If Grant call him,
that's what I just asked Netta. Netta, that's just what I asked to happen.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to get the meeting started at this point. It's a regular open meeting of the United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors of California Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation. It is Tuesday, April 13th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. and this is a virtual meeting. We have a quorum, and so we will move forward with the board meeting. I'd like to acknowledge the media. I'm glad that we're on Zoom and on television, and I'd like to now move on to the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Elsie. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Carl. That's an interesting background.
Thanks.
All right. Are there any corrections needed to the minutes of the regular meeting of March 9th? If there are no corrections, we will go forward with by acclamation. Thank you. We're right now to the report of the chair. It's going to be a short one today. We shall soon find ourselves focusing on budgeting issues. The way this is done, it's initially the staff's responsibility to prepare the budget, and then it becomes the board's responsibility to shape it. This may go through 3 or more cycles. In order to do this successfully, we will need to come to consensus for what is best for the community today and the future. It will be necessary that more than ever that we begin to listen to each other fairly and respectfully. Certainly there may be conflicting opinions in the community itself, but resolving them, we must remain focused and congenial. We shall want to make decisions based not on our own personal interests or those of our friends or the residents that keep bugging us, nor should we make decisions based on what's expedient or easy, but we should make the decisions for the present and future needs of the community. Thank you. All right. I gather that, Eileen, is there any speakers for the open forum?
Yes, we have one comment.
Please go ahead.
This is from Elliot Al-Hadaf, 20450. I am respectfully asking the board to give consideration to revising the current bylaw to bring it to conform to existing outstanding certificates of membership. Although the existing bylaw, Article 3, Section 8, states that for a lost or destroyed certificate, the corporation shall require a bond. The certificates read, the holder will be required to make an affidavit and may be required to post a bond or other security and or pay a fee for the issuance of a replacement certificate. I am respectfully suggesting revising the bylaws to conform to the language of the certificate because it is now in wide distribution. But more importantly, it allows the exercise of the board's discretion in assigning an appropriate alternative remedy and to eliminate the unintended unreasonable consequence of lifetime loan ineligibility. The most notable alternative to the bond requirement for missing certificates that is proven to be effective in providing security without mandating lifetime loan ineligibility, that which is currently used by Seal Beach Leisure World, requiring a 90-day waiting period and payment of a nominal fine. Alternative remedies do not diminish existing security protections. For example, the certificate is not negotiable. It does not convey ownership merely to the bearer. The certificate has the name of the valid owner, making it highly unlikely for a fraudulent imposter. Regards include personal information of the valid owner's picture, preventing any other to redeem the certificate. The certificate on its face is not transferable, preventing it from being used as collateral or otherwise negotiated. And other safeguards involving staff application and bylaw protections too numerous to mention. Finally, on a personal note, and to illustrate the magnitude of the injury lifetime loan ineligibility causes, I'm 82 years old. I have family, including my 2- and 6-year-old grandchildren, who live 4.5 hours away in Templeton, California. The drive has become more of a challenge now. I made plans to move closer to them, sell my house here, get a loan, and buy one there, near them. If I have to buy the bond, I won't ever be able to get a loan, and I'll be confined here. It is most respectfully submitted that considering the magnitude of the consequences of lifetime loan ineligibility, the conflicting language of the bylaws and certificate, the existence of reasonable alternatives to the posting of a bond, and numerous existing protections against fraud, having to post bond for lost or destroyed certificates should not be required. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you.
And that is it.
All right, Jeff, I don't think we really want to.
I have a member comment here.
Would you put it in the chat box so that
I
Eileen
raised
can
my
read
hand.
it?
I raised my hand. So what's the rule?
Okay, go ahead, Andre. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, very simple. I just respectfully request that our president support board members' action during discussions, even though you are not present, even though the president is not present at that time. But if there's under any private discussion, the president has encouraged board members to take some actions to push as far as they can. The president should support that. Okay, even though the president may not like it, may not agree with it, or receive the pressure from other places, it is essential for the president to support board members. If you committed that and ask board members to go certain directions, without your support, there's a conflict of information. Nobody can function that privately. You want people to do a certain way, and publicly you say, no, you did it the wrong way. Okay, that's what my comment at this point, and I hope that this kind of protocol should be enforced and should be respected. That's my comment.
Thank you very much for your comment. Jeff, do we want to respond to or do we want to, we'll have to take that offline to the, it'll be a big problem for us to do the change to the bylaws, but go ahead.
We'll take it under consideration, Sue, and we'll discuss it not only internally but with the board whether or not what the options are.
Okay, thank you. All right, Manny, would you give us the responses for last month?
Yes,
Excuse me, Sue.
thank you, Madam Chair.
Excuse me.
Okay, 1 second. Elsie?
I'm really sorry, but Juanita needs to get into the panel so she can give her report, which is coming up.
Okay, that's a good problem.
Excuse me, I'm being interrupted here. It's my turn.
I have
All right.
a response to this issue.
Please put it into the chat box, anything that you need to say, Elsie. Thank you. Go ahead, Manuel.
Sorry, I have a response on that issue. That the resident.
Andre, we'll let you speak after I've called on Manuel. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Manuel's ahead of me. Okay, I didn't know that.
Thank you. There were 8 residents that raised some questions, and some were on the spot. And of those 8, there are only 2 that required follow-up. And the 2 that required follow-up, the first one was Helen Zhao at 329D, wants to be able to keep plants in her area. Other neighbors have even more plants than she does. And the response is that the member has submitted a request to the landscape committee to retain her current landscaping. This item will be on the agenda for the May landscape committee meeting. The other item was Joan Zhang, 20180. Her question was request to have bins for plastic bags installed in the community. The response from staff was that they contacted her and let her know that she may place plastic bags in the recycling bin. Waste Management allows an exception for Laguna Woods Village on this issue. You can put whatever you have for the recycle bin in a plastic bag. You don't have to dump it out. So those are the 2 questions that needed follow-up responses, and those were the answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Andre, go ahead.
As far as the certificate and bylaw issue, I think it's probably appropriate to assign to the governing document, because that's definitely the governing document issue. I think VMS can work with governing doc and make proposals and bring it back and discuss this with the member that raised this issue. Okay. So that's my recommendation.
Thank you very much, Andre. We will be taking it up in governing docs, I'm sure. We will need to look at that. Is there a way to get Juanita in at this point in time, please?
Yes, one moment.
Thank you. And has Reza been given the phone number, because he can't seem to get his internet working?
All right, I'm back in. My chat was disabled and I had no microphone or video.
Right. All right, we're ready for you. I guess first we're going to see the VMS recognition of excellence, please.
Correct. I just wanted to intro that by saying that this is the second of 3. We had one at the GRF meeting last week, and we will have another one at the 3rd meeting next week. We divided them up into thirds. And so we want at VMS to recognize for this quarter the outstanding employees in various departments. So we have 4 departments today. If you'll run that video, please.
One moment.
Hello, I'm Paul Ortiz, and I'm the manager for Village Television, and just to the opposite side of me is Eileen Paulin. She's the director of media and communications, and the man in the middle is Mark Weiss. He is our recognition of the Excellence Award winner for Village Television, and congratulations, Mark. We nominated Mark because of his long service here in our community. 20 years ago, I met Mark Weiss on Clubhouse 3 right on stage, and he was doing his work over there as a technician. We talked a little bit, and he told me that he was working in television production on the side, And within a year, he was joining us here at Village Television. So we've been with us together for quite some time. And the evolution that we've had here at Village Television has really grown leaps and bounds in the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. But the evolution of our division has really changed too, especially last year.
Just about a year ago, we all came together, all of our platforms were brought together into one communications department. And we were barely 4 to 6 weeks into the new year when we really got put to the test, and that was when the pandemic hit. And I just have to say I'm incredibly proud of the entire team here at TV6 because they've really risen to the occasion and turned into a very, very important news source for us. And one of the first things that happened is we realized that we had to be on air more than 5 days a week. And the whole team stepped up and we added Saturdays to our live broadcasts. And that meant that these two gentlemen and some others were in here 6 days a week during the height of the pandemic. And Mark always delivered. We got our edited reels really fast. Yeah. And I just appreciate it. You're so consistent. Yeah. And that's very important during these times.
Yeah, Mark was the man behind the scenes. So if you watch our program in the morning this day, Mark is our director and he's the one that pushes the buttons, brings everything together and gets the show going. The rhythm of the show happens because of Mark's professionalism and expertise. He also does quite a bit of editing for Village Television. And he has no pajama time for the last year. Mark has been to work, gets up in the morning at dark, drives to work. We come in and we work and get all our work done. So kudos to you for all the work that you've done here in the community. It shows the loyalty and dedication that Mark has in our community for working here for 20 years, coming in every day, and then coming in 6 days a week when we need him. So congratulations, Mark. It's a well-deserved award, and continued good success.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of the residents as well, because I really have to reiterate that without Mark, that news wouldn't be getting out there the way it has this year.
Great job, Mark.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Betty Parker. I'm the CFO at Laguna Woods Village, and I am very happy to be here today, virtually, to present an award of employee excellence to our AP clerk, Hong. And I am got her here on the call, and hopefully you can see both of us. We have 2 AP clerks in the financial services department. Hong and her counterpart process all of the work and for payment to vendors and resident reimbursements and so forth. And she was nominated for this award because of her excellent attitude and her teamwork. Whether it be tracking down an invoice to see if it was paid, or expediting checks when needed for vendors, or following up with vendors to minimize the backlog of invoices, Hong is always willing to step in. Whenever a new task is required in the department, such as distributing tax forms to independent contractors, Hong volunteers and takes on more work. She follows policies by ensuring all documentation is correct before issuing payments, and she follows up with departments to get the missing information. And despite the craziness of a fast-paced environment where she fields calls from vendors and residents alike, Hong is able to complete her tasks while maintaining a pleasant demeanor. Hong is well respected by her peers and makes coming into work more pleasant. The company is lucky to have an employee as dedicated, knowledgeable, driven, and dependable as Hong. And this was submitted for Hong's award, and I just want to add that I've had a great pleasure of having Hong working right outside my office in her little pod with the 2 AP clerks, and we have such a robust AP operation, and the volume of work that Hong and Jose go through is amazing. And Hong has been with us almost 5 years, so since we became VMS, she was a new hire, and we have benefited from her experience in that short time when there's been turnover in the other AP positions. She's kept things going, she's taken on more responsibility, and we completely rely on her. She's so professional, and I've really enjoyed working with her. Hong has a daughter. She's a proud mother of a daughter who graduated from high school last year and is a dance choreographer. And one thing that I like about Hong is her positive attitude. She's a reluctant participant in our annual Halloween competition, but we take it very seriously in financial services, winning 2 years straight for best department, and we want to keep that going. And so Hong, even though she does not like to, put herself out there in costume, she goes right along with us and supports us and makes it all happen. And that's exemplary of her work at all times. And so I love having her on our team. And I just wanted to ask Hong to say a couple words, maybe introduce herself to you, and let us know what she likes about working at Weiss.
Hi, my name is Hong Akihino. I am, like Betty introduced me, I'm an AP clerk, and I enjoy working at VMS. I mean, we have the best group of individuals. I don't think I can do my work without anybody. It's a team effort, because anything I need, they just step in to help me and get things done, And I really like working at VMS because it's just a great group of people that I interact every day and willing to step in to help me, especially Jose Campo. My goodness, he's the manager. He even stepped in to help, even the clerical work. I mean, that is amazing. That makes you enjoy working, want to come into work every day, And
thank you, Hong. I mean, that is such a benefit when you enjoy coming to work and the people that you work with. I've been here a long time, and that's what has kept me at the company is my coworkers. And I really enjoy our team, especially in financial services, but also those you work with, all the departments and lots of people. And they're very supportive of what you need to do and give you the tools you need to get the job done. So congratulations. Congratulations. We're very happy for this award. And
thank you. I am so honored, honestly, and very humble about the award.
Well, we love to see your smile, and I'm glad to see you even virtually. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Bob Merget with the landscape. I'm the landscape manager here at Laguna Woods Village. Also with me today is Kurt Weeman, the director of landscape, and we're here for a recognition of excellence award for Clemente Sanchez. Clemente Clem has worked for Laguna Woods Village for over 47 years. With the recent reorganization of the landscape department, Clem has taken on a new role, that of inspecting trees in the community, working with residents to solve tree issues, educating the residents with a smile on his face. Additionally, he has successfully been overseeing the new tree contractor, ensuring the proper maintenance of Laguna Woods Village's urban forest. He has shown exceptional customer service skills, possessing extensive knowledge of the over 30,000 trees in the community, and has come to work with a very positive attitude every day. Clemente has been a very valuable asset to this community. Congratulations, Clem.
That was a heartbreaking thing. Go ahead, Juanita, would you go ahead with your...
Yeah, well, again, our employees are exceptional, and they're what make our village work and everything that we want it to be while we're living here. That's why we don't have to do all this work. So we really like being able to honor them every once in a while. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was the CAI, Community Association Institute California Common Interest Development Law seminar that Elsie Addington and I attended a couple of weeks ago. It was 12 hours webinar, and it went over all the different kinds of law, how they started, what the different kinds of law, the sources of law were for us. It defined and went into the different kinds of common interest developments, of which our stock cooperative is one. The powers that we have, what are the governing documents and what do they say and how do we use them? It went over boards of directors, meetings, management of the various property, finances and records, covenant, member discipline was a big one. and risk and liability. It was a very interesting seminar, and we were able to ask questions and discuss with other people in the same areas that we were, and we got a lot out of it. So we appreciate being able to attend that. Elsie, did you have anything particular you wanted to bring out that you learned at that seminar?
Just a couple of quick things. I don't think you can see it, folks, but this is the syllabus for the 12 hours. And the few things I picked out is relative to records requests. It's section 5205F that talks about records requests, and the amount that can be charged is up to $200 for records retrieval, plus the actual cost of paper, ink, etc. And those fees can be collected before the production of the records, or not. But if we're going to charge, we need to tell people how much the records are going to cost. And then there was an interesting thing about electronic transmission. There's been a lot of talk about that. And electronic transmission is okay as long as the redactions, because this has to be redacted for confidential information like names, social security numbers, etc. Anyway, assuming that the redactions cannot be undone, they can only be sent in a graphic scanned format. And that's something like PDFs, because it can't be in editable Word or Excel formats. So that's an issue that comes up a lot. And one other thing was, those mandatory inspections on our balconies, open stairways, all the suspended items in the village, those mandatory inspections are coming up in 2025, which is sooner than we think. And that's just something to keep in mind for upcoming budgets. It's coming. And then finally, ADA, and there are two laws that get confused a lot. One of them is the Fair Housing Act, and one of them is the ADA. And as a private community, the ADA doesn't apply to us overall, in that, except for commercial buildings, which I don't think we even have any. But ADA says everything has to be accessible to all people. Well, at private property like this, that's not true. Except we must allow handicapped persons to make reasonable alterations to their property at their own expense to facilitate access and use of the premises. And those people in alterations already know that, like if they want to pay to put in a ramp, but they can't put in a ramp or other accessible accessories unless they are either the tenant or the owner is disabled and produces medical information. They really got down in the weeds on a lot of this training, and it was very, very interesting, and I strongly urge anybody, if it comes up again, to partake of this. It's all produced by attorneys, and it was really wonderfully organized. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I just wanted to mention that we are also this week doing the CAI legislative work. It's very interesting. Yesterday we had the beginning session where they went over how a bill goes through our legislature, and it was really funny, the cartoon that they used to show how it changes from original idea to what actually gets to the governor's desk for signature. And they talked about 4 particular bills that they think are going to be pertinent to us in CIDs. So we will continue to follow those with those, but we have a couple more sessions with them. Usually people went up in person to Sacramento, but they're doing it all virtually this year, but very, very interesting. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juanita. It was very enlightening. All right, we're ready for the CEO.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, Madam President, and to the board members and to our residents. Three things. Excuse me. The first one, I wanted to give some good news about where we're at with regards to COVID-19 and the issue of vaccinations. So with regards to Orange County and Laguna Woods and the village here, the numbers are continuing to get lower and lower. Our hospitalization rates in Orange County are at the lowest that we've seen since the pandemic started back in March of last year, down to only 120 hospitalizations throughout the county, and only 29 cases in ICU. And that's one of the major drivers with regards to moving into lowering the tiers that we're in, as well as the governor's plan, ultimately shooting for June to no longer have tiers at all and be totally back open. So that's really good news that we've that curve continues to go downward. With regards to Laguna Woods directly, we have maintained a pretty steady pace on cases. In fact, we haven't changed case numbers really since for the last 10 days, so that's really good news for not only the village but the community. In the overall in Orange County, there's been 120 cases as of yesterday, but they also are doing a really good job still of testing. Testing numbers are still up near 10,000 cases on a daily basis. And the importance of that, to further talk about this, is that in order for us to go to the next tier, which is the yellow tier, we have actually achieved that in 2 of the critical categories. But the third category, which will still a major driver, is we have 3 cases out of every 100,000 tests, and that needs to get down to 2 in order to move into the yellow tier. So that's we were headed in that direction. We've stabilized right around the 3, so we're going to continue to work on that. Obviously, people wearing masks, people getting vaccinated, all of it is combining in a positive trend in where we're headed. I would anticipate if we continue to move in that we could see ourselves moving into the yellow tier probably by mid-May at the rate that we're going. And again, the governor's plan is hopefully to have everybody get vaccinated to the point that and the hospitalization rates that we could reopen totally by mid-June. With that, I also wanted to announce a big announcement, and that is we are pleased to, in our continuation of working with Memorial Care, that we've secured a final allotment of the Moderna vaccine through Memorial Care and the county to allow us to be able to hold a 1-day clinic that we've scheduled for April 24th. And this 1-day clinic will allow us to vaccinate the remaining residents in the village. With the numbers that we've seen in what we were able to accomplish at Clubhouse 7 previously, as well as all of the residents that were going to outside locations such as Rite Aid and CVS that's now open, the Othina program with the county, and the locations such as Disneyland and Soka, and even Long Beach, our residents have gotten out there and gotten vaccinated to a great deal. And we've also done the in-house, in-home care for those that couldn't get out. So again, one of the things I wanted to mention is this will be for full-time residents in the village. And I'm going to say something that we don't usually say in sense of a talk. This is for anybody 18 years of age or older. And yes, we do actually have some individuals who are under 55 that are living here because of there's several hundred residents that are younger than 55. That includes dependents and adult children. And so they could be in the qualification area with regards to living in the village. So we do have a few of those. But the key here is we're going to try to get everybody vaccinated in the village. That was our ultimate goal. We've been moving directly towards that, and along with the participation of all our community residents, done a fantastic job of getting people vaccinated that want to get vaccinated. Please send, if you're interested in that, we'd like you to send us your information to info@lagunawoodsvillage.com, info@lagunawoodsvillage.com, and that way we can get your information uploaded into the system, and we can make communication with you with regards to the 24th. So that's going to be exciting that we can finish up that. The other two things that I wanted to mention, number one was because we went into the new category of orange, we've been able to start our slow reopening of the village. Very excited about that. One of the key areas was in our over at Clubhouse 4. Even though it's in limited capacity and it's staged, we were able to open up a lot of the classroom activities over there. The wood shop, ceramics opened yesterday, sewing room, all of those different rooms. They have two limitations. It's a by appointment that's moving ahead with ActiveNet. So if you want to go on to our website or call Recreation Services to get registered for ActiveNet, or if you're already registered, you can go on and make your appointments. They're in two time frames, one in the morning for 3 hours and one in the afternoon for 3 hours. And then those are limited in space because we have to make sure we're doing the masking and the social distancing. So there is limited capacity there at this point in time, following the Orange County and state guidelines. Now, if we go to the yellow, our capacity will increase, and we'll be ready for that as soon as that is possible. So again, that's exciting news about getting the some of our activities that are inside back online. We also have activities at the gym now with our, we're using our treadmills. You can go and register to use the treadmills at the gym. We still have the gym outside in the breezeway, and until the capacity increases substantially, won't be going back in there other than the treadmill activity in the gym. But as soon as that capacity increases, then we'll be back inside as well. And last but not least, and Sue mentioned it in her opening comments, we just concluded a number of budget training meetings in which we presented department budgets to the boards for their information, kind of going over last year and the year before in preparation for where we're going. We're putting all of those were done and taped, and we're putting all those tapes together, and I hope to have those on the website and so that the public can look at those and learn about our different operations sometime next week. So we'll give an update to the community through the blast this Friday and get information as to where people can go and look for that. But it's a great training material. It's good information with regards to our budgets and all the activities that our different departments do. And I want to thank all the board members for participating in that. And that's all I have, and I'm going to turn it over to Siobhan. She has a few other things.
Thank you, Jeff. Honorable President, members of the board, I have a few quick updates for you this morning. First of all, the American Red Cross and the Village Disaster Preparedness Task Force will present the training Extreme Heat and Wildfire Preparedness via Zoom. This will occur on Tuesday, May 4th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Please be sure to RSVP to disasterprep@vmsinc.org to receive the Zoom link. The Recreation and Special Events Department is pleased to announce that the 4UP online tee system is now live. Golfers should have received a series of emails that provided login information for 4UP. If anyone needs any additional assistance, please call the golf course at 949-597-4336. We are also pleased to announce for recreation that bingo play is now open. You can register starting now for bingo play on Tuesdays starting April 13th, which is today. The doors open at 1:45 p.m. and bingo starts at 2 p.m. This will be held on the back patio of Clubhouse 2. There is a fee of $10 for 10 games due upon arrival. Reservations may be made through ActiveNet. Carport cleaning continues through the end of April. You may visit lagunawoodsvillage.com and go to residents, maintenance and landscaping, community maintenance schedules to find out when your carport will be cleaned. Transportation Services is pleased to announce that to accommodate residents needing transportation to worship services, the department has restarted the Boost program using Lyft Rideshare. To schedule a ride, please call transportation at 4659. The National Prescription Take-Back Day is coming up later this month. The City of Laguna Woods and the Orange County Sheriff's Department is offering a prescription take-back event on Saturday, April 24th. You may dispose of your unwanted and expired prescription medication at Laguna Woods City Hall between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. It is free and anonymous. No sharps, marijuana, or pressure containers will be accepted. For more information, you may call 714-647-4133. Additionally, we want to announce that the City of Laguna Hills will be hosting a public hearing about the Laguna Hills Mall site. This will occur on April 27th at 7 p.m. at the Laguna Hills Community Center Heritage Room located at 25555 Alicia Parkway. The City Council will be considering adoption of a development agreement to modify the previously approved Five Lagunas project. This will continue to redevelop the 68-acre property with mixed-use retail, office, and residential units. At the public hearing, all interested parties will be given the opportunity to comment. Written comments may also be submitted by mail to the City Council at 24035 El Toro Road, Laguna Hills, California, 92653. And lastly, just a reminder that this Saturday is the free bulky item pickup, the third Saturday of each month. Please notify resident services if you will be setting out any bulky items. Resident services can be reached at 949-597-4600. If you do place out bulky items, place them near the trash enclosure or in the same location you place your trash bins, and set out the items the night before or no later than 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you. Carl, you want to go ahead and read Rosemary Morgan's, please, comment?
I sent you a text. I don't know what this other thing is. The text that I sent you had to do with the consent calendar, and then I found out there was a Rosemary Morgan thing in here. So I don't know why that's there. I did not send that. I don't know why that's there.
Right.
But that last paragraph is the one that I
understand what the last paragraph. I was looking at the Rosemary. Is Eileen still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Did you get this Rosemary Morgan report?
No, I did not.
Okay, let's ignore it then. We'll try to figure out what's going on. Okay, Brian, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I have a comment about ActiveNet because Shaban mentioned it, and it needs to be put onto the website where people can find it. Frankly, we're signed up, but I cannot find that link. So it's not there. If they can make it more visible, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you, Brian. All right, we're moving on to the consent calendar. And Kurt is here. Is there any question about 10A 1 and 2? Go ahead, Carl.
That was my comment. My comment was the fact that 10A2 is the usual tree thing, okay? We're going to remove a tree. The landscape committee looked at that particular thing and said that that tree needs to be removed for whatever reason. However, with regard to this recommendation to approve landscape revision request, blah, 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 when I read it, it specifically talks about the fact that the adjacent area to 577A, the resident wants to do something with that area, and he's willing to pay for it. Yet there's no description as to what he wants to do. Does he want to put a racetrack there or what? I mean, I don't know what it is that we're voting on, and I'm not saying I'm going to vote against it. I'm just saying I don't know what it is. So therefore, we have no idea what this thing is that he wants to do.
All right, I got the gist. Kurt, you're here. Could you tell us what they want to do at 577A, please?
Give me one moment as I pull up that original report.
Do they want a chicken farm?
Yeah.
what's wrong with a chicken farm?
Nothing. As long as you don't have a rooster. Okay, is there any other comments on any of the other things in the consent calendar?
Okay. The answer to Director Randazzo's question is just a basic replanting. They want to replace the original shrubs planted by the mutual with new shrubs that we've already reviewed and approved.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Carl?
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, I guess he didn't like the shrubs that we had selected for him for that area, so he wants to put in his own shrubs, and it's all on his dime. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we're going to bill him for this, I guess. That's in the queue to bill this guy or this woman or whatever.
He's going to do it as his own cost.
And who's going to actually do the work?
He's going to hire a gardener to do that.
Okay, are we going to oversee this activity to make sure it does all the things it's supposed to and doesn't rip up irrigation pipes and what have you?
Yes, there's a statement, and that will be in the resolution when it's done, that he's responsible for all damage to irrigation. We've already inspected it now, and it all works, and we will re-inspect it when he is done.
Okay, thank you. This was just a little bit not usual, because usually it's a tree or something. Okay, but this was, what is he doing? All right,
Okay.
Chicken farm.
All right, let's move on. Can I have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
Sue, I had a question.
Certainly. Please.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but since we're talking about it, the only question I had, this is in common area, and they're doing plantings. Are we going to maintain it then from here on out, just like we would any other common area? And is there going to be any more work to maintain it?
No, we reviewed the material that he's going to plant, and we will maintain it as normal. It's very similar to plant material we plant. Like I said, we approved plant material in advance.
Thank you.
He's not enlarging his shrub bed area at all. He's keeping it the same.
Okay, thank you.
Elsie?
Kurt answered part of it, so you guys are going to follow up, though, right? I mean, we're not just going to give you. Okay. Then the other thing is what kind of shrubs is he putting in? I mean, are they?
He said they were close to what we have now. So
right. I thought maybe. Okay. Well, all right then.
We don't need to know exactly, do we? All right. Can I have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
I make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any more discussion on this? Okay.
Yes. When you say, excuse me, my hand is up. When you say call the consent calendar, are you talking about all of A, B, C, D?
Yes, I am.
So in that case, okay. So what is the D one?
Azar, do you want discussion on any part of 10?
Yes, I would like to know about the D, 10D.
Okay, 10D, we are changing the chairmanship of the landscape committee from Andre to Manuel.
Okay.
May I ask, what's the reason for that?
The reason is that there was a fight, or whatever you want to call it. There was unreasonable behavior in the last landscape meeting that caused an awful lot of residents and other directors to call me and say that the chair was out of order, and therefore we need to bring it back into order.
Can you forward those emails to me? A lot of them, and from board director and the residents. Can you forward them?
They were phone calls, mainly.
Okay.
And it was, I was in the garden at the time this occurred, and my phone rang off. I had at least 6 phone calls. And I wasn't in attendance in the meeting, so I had no chance to do anything. And by the time I got home, the meeting was over. So I've been asked to do this. If there's any other comments on this, I'm quite willing to accept it. Do we want an oral vote on this?
Well, may I ask, when you say you were asked to do this, by whom? From whom?
I have watched the video. I was asked by a number of people, and if you want to have this done I will discuss this with you in privacy. I've tried to. We're going to go ahead and take an oral vote.
No, I want to know what is the reason. I don't like it when there's no reason given to me and it just said you are bad and we want to replace you.
I have given you the reasons in emails. I have given you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your input. We are going to go ahead.
I'm the one that's impacted. Okay, I have the right to talk about it and see what's happening there. Instead of talking about it, you are just trying to silence me and not allowing me to ask questions. The question I have is that you encouraged me to go through that and try to get a KPIs for your dashboard. You claim that dashboard is very important and we have to have it. So I'm pushing for that information. And repeatedly, I was asking for this ticket data, and you said that's a good point. We need to have a ticket data. So I'm pushing for that. And the response from the staff was, we don't give away those. We only give the quarterly. I said I am already almost finding the problem now. I need the data to find the problem, and I requested several times to have a private meeting, and VMS refused to grant that. Just ignore my email completely. And that during the meeting, that was the only time I get to talk to them face to face. I was trying to be nice, trying to be polite, talk in the private, but VMS refused to provide the data and refused to grant me the meeting. Okay, so what should I do, may I ask? Just ignore this one and then don't push your KPI because they refuse to give me the data?
You were refused to be given the data. You were told that you would get it quarterly. He promised you that. He also told you that the person who gets the data was out on leave due to a funeral. And I think we have repeated complaints from boards. I have many complaints about your behavior. And if you want to discuss this offline, I'm quite willing to discuss it with you.
No, I want to discuss in the open. Okay, because I think the data, what I'm asking for is their tracking data. They have this tracking data daily. We're trying to track all these information.
Andre, this is not the place that we are going to discuss this. Thank you for your input.
If they don't have the tracking data, if they don't have the tracking data.
3 minutes are up. Your 3 minutes are up.
Point of order.
We're going to go ahead and vote. If it's the board's vote on this, it's not my vote, me personally. Okay, Elsie, what's your vote?
You proposed that. And
Andre, you will be put out of the meeting if you can't take the 3-minute warning.
I vote to remove Andre as chairman.
Netta, do we want a private vote or do you mind doing it on air?
Which one is the question?
The question
is it private?
Okay.
If it's a private, what is it for everybody?
Let's go ahead and do a private vote so that.
Why should it be private?
Let's not do a private vote. Okay, Netta, how do you feel about Andre being removed?
I don't feel good because he's doing well.
That's a no. Manny. Manuel?
You're muted, Manny.
Thank you. My vote is yes. So now we're going to vote on the rest of the items on the consent calendar. We're just singling out one item right now.
I think you're right, but it seems like it's necessary to single it out.
Yes, I vote for the
Azar,
change.
No.
Diane,
Well, I wasn't there, but I do know that Andre oversteps. And so he's either got to reel it in or it's going to come up again. So I'm going to abstain right now, but the next time I'm going to say yes.
Reza,
I vote no.
Carl,
As the president of this board, okay, you have the right to choose whoever chairs a committee. And as a result of that, if you feel that he needs to go, then I vote yes.
Andre,
No.
Brian,
No.
okay, it fails. We'll move on. We'll vote now. Is there any other discussion on the consent calendar, the rest of the items on the consent calendar? If not, we'll do it by acclamation. Okay, let's move on to unfinished business. Azar?
Yes, still we have to consider about December that is not ratified. I just received an email after meeting started. Apparently, I saw the title only, that they sent something, but this is not the time that I review the invoices. So we are talking about 600,000 invoices that I have to review, and therefore, this unfinished business still should stay in that level, and I will not ratify December 2020.
Okay, that is a moot point because we have accepted the KMG's papers. We've accepted it, and therefore the books are closed. There will be no changes made, but we will go ahead and leave these two things on unfinished business. Okay?
Thank you.
But it is a moot point. It will not make any difference because the books are closed.
Well, we have to know that those invoices is right, not, or we got
Okay.
it.
I have no problem leaving it open.
I have my hand up, Sue.
Okay, I'm sorry. The hand-ups are difficult for me to see because I don't get a full screen. So if you can put them in the chat box, I'd prefer it. Thank you. Go ahead, Manuel.
Go ahead. Okay. I want to clarify a few things because the non-financial types don't seem to understand these things. The fact that an audit report was issued and an opinion was provided by KPMG on the financial statements, those amounts and numbers are totally different from the internal financial statements, point one. Point two, the purpose of 5500, which is providing all this information to either all the board members or to the study that reviews it, to make sure that the accounting practices and financial controls and methods used are proper. We know they're not. So November had a bunch of mistakes. The separate reserve account is not being properly used. Monies don't go in there where they should. They don't come out of there when they should. They don't go into investments and so on. I've proven that over and over for November, for December. January was flagrant, where $2 million was taken directly to the operating account. And February, that Azar hasn't caught, had the $650,000 of the contingency cash in the operating bank account. So, first of all, in the last meeting, you could not ratify November because Azar pointed out that there were all these exceptions. They still exist. Whether it was performed or not, those bad practices, incorrect things still exist. Nothing has happened to change that. So these are not acceptable. In January, you ratified January in error. because it was a violation of 5515. So now the second part of this section here, B, you have to go back and rescind that approval because you approved it by mistake. I tried to point that out in the meeting. Nobody was paying attention. And again, February can't ratify. Like I said, February has the $615,000 of the contingent cash in the operating bank account, plus still doing all these things wrong. So this has to be changed completely. You cannot ratify anything for November, December, January, or February. Plus, you have to rescind the ratification that you approved in March for anywhere. And then we have another topic that's going to come in, connected to that subsequently here. And I have some remarks to make on that.
Thank you very much for your comments. Brian? We haven't gotten to that, Brian. So when we get to that, we will get to that.
Thank you. I was just putting that out ahead of time.
Okay, now that I understood what you wanted, your question, I'm sorry I called on you. Okay, I think the minutes should reflect what Manny says. We will go ahead. Azar, do you have some comments, please?
Yes, I do. As I started, I understand contingency fund to respond to what Manny says. It is in the operating account. And then reserve, when we call it reserve, is just in the reserve account. So a contingency account, I wanted to announce that it is in the operating account and it is in the hand. Manny keeps saying this one, and I am trying to keep telling him that the contingency account, although when you are reading the financial report, they are together, but the amount of the money of the contingency is in the operating account. So I want to make this one clear. If is not supposed to do that, if it is not supposed to be that, please let me know, and by law or something. So I will definitely consider to take that one back and be very serious. Of course, I should say I was consider. I might not consider anymore. Depends on which direction we are going. But please understand that many contingency account is in the operating.
Okay, Betty, is Betty here with us, or Steve? I thought I saw Steve. Steve, would you like to make a comment on that, please? My understanding is the contingency fund is part of the operating cost. It is an operating cost. Go ahead, Steve. Thank you.
That is correct. So, and with any of the pending items that are still of concern, we will continue to go back and research those and identify a resolution for both Manny and Azar.
Okay, so I do believe January was clean, and we can leave that the way it was, except for the 15. So we did say conditionally, and we will leave these two things on the unfinished business. And we'll move now on to the new business. Is there any other comments for this area? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Andre.
I have a question about the contingency fund as a part of the operating fund. Okay. In the purpose of contingency fund, it clearly stated disaster fund is part of the contingency fund. So does that mean we have a contingency? We can use all the money in regard to the disaster fund?
That is correct, Andre, and we've told you that a number of times in the finance meeting.
Yes, I just want to reconfirm that. I know that it's been said many times, and I totally object that. Because disaster fund is for disaster purpose, has nothing to do with the contingency fund, and need to be reserved in there. I don't understand what. So does that mean we want to remove disaster fund from the contingency fund? If that's the case, we need to set up a resolution saying we will take disaster fund.
We have voted on that in the finance meeting that we do not have a disaster fund. This vote has been recorded. Thank you, Andre.
Wait a minute. Does that mean finance committee can just make decisions on these bonds? I thought they only make recommendations.
Okay, we will bring it to the board in the next meeting.
I just want to make it official because I don't want people to come to us and say why the digest fund is.
Thank you for your input. We will bring it to the next meeting. Thank you. Azar, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Could you please, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things is in 12. Could you please go one by one?
We will be going one by one in 12. There is no we absolutely will.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, let's move on to 12 now. Okay, 12A, do you want to go ahead, Elsie, and give what 12A is about, please?
I think, what it's about is in governing docs, one of our goals this year was to consider the resale process and try to make it more streamlined for the people who are reviewing it on DocuSign, or even in packages if we go back to that. But I think it's going to stay on DocuSign because currently there's a lot of pages involved. However, I believe that Siobhan has prepared a little something for us.
Yes, I have.
Okay, go ahead, Siobhan, please.
Thank you. As Elsie indicated, the Governing Documents Committee discussed a list of goals for the year. One of the goals was to have staff review and streamline the resale application process where possible. As you know, the supporting documentation required by United is often in excess of 150 pages. So we've identified areas where we can make this more efficient. And we presented those ideas to the Governing Documents Committee on March 18th, and the efficiencies are outlined in your report today. But specifically, the committee voted to accept 4 adjustments to the membership application and documentation required. The first one, for FICO scores of less than 700, the applicant must continue to submit a full credit report, but when the FICO score is above 700, the applicant can submit a credit summary report only, and that is an amendment to the financial qualifications policy, which is a resolution in this agenda item for consideration. The other 3 are administrative items that can be implemented, providing the first 3 pages of the escrow instructions only, providing only the property detail page and area sales analysis of the property profile reflecting the median value. Those both cut down on a significant number of pages that must be submitted. And then lastly, to provide a summary page of each investment account document reflecting the report date, owner of the account number, and balance. So with those changes, we would significantly reduce the number of pages that have to be processed, but not detracting from the quality of the information that is provided and considered by the board. So with that in mind, the recommendation today is for the board to approve the updated financial qualifications policy, amending the income requirements section to require FICO scores of less than 700 to submit a full credit report, and FICO scores 700 or higher to submit a credit summary report only in the membership application packet. The resolution, as proposed, is on page 5 of the agenda packet, and today the board would only be introducing that resolution for 28-day hold. Thank you.
So would you go ahead and move that, Elsie, please?
I just had one little addition. Thank you very much for that, Siobhan. On the resolution, there's one little tiny addition. A full credit report of FICO score is, okay, so they have to submit a full credit report if their FICO is less than a 700, or, and this is especially dear to Carl Randazzo's heart, I know, or the FICO score is 700 or higher with an outside mortgage. Right, Carl? I mean, that's a good thing. And that's just, so that's one little thing that's, that it's cool, but Siobhan just didn't mention that one little part.
That's correct, and that's part of the
That was
resolution, Elsie.
That was the question.
Right. Oh, yeah, yes, thank you.
So you've made the motion, Elsie?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Two, I'll second that. And I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, then I've got to, okay, Carl, do you have any more comment to make?
No, I just wanted to mention what Elsie said because there was a two-parter to that FICO score, and that is near and dear to me because they keep on not saying anything about outside mortgages.
Okay,
so.
I'll go ahead, Manuel.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this resolution. However, in looking through all the documents, I caught an error in the occupancy agreement that should be corrected. And that's the the title of Article 7 is subletting prohibited, and that's not true. That title has to be changed, particularly since we've got AB 31A2, which allows even more subletting than before. So Article 7 needs to be corrected either now or through documents.
Okay.
That's on page 50.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a vote now. Addington?
Aye.
Netta?
Yes.
Manuel?
Yes.
With the correction?
Yes.
Azar?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Reza?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Andre?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, this will go on 28-day review. Okay, Kurt, would you give us a short about
summary?
the supplemental allocation, please? A short introduction to it.
Yes, I was asked to determine the best way to increase the services the landscaping department provides to United Mutual. The questions came in as should we add another crew? Could we add another cycle? We analyzed it and found the best way to increase the service levels would be to add another cycle. We currently do 4 cycles annually, which means we visit each building 4 cycles. And last year we met that target. And this year we are also on track to meet or exceed that target. This proposal is to add that 5th cycle in where we would visit each building 5 times, which would reduce the number of calls and complaints that we get regarding weeding and trimming. We did an evaluation of the tickets that we do get regarding weeding and trimming. We found that 70% of them were within 30 days of their scheduled maintenance cycle time, so that if by moving this up a few weeks each time would reduce the number of complaints and increase the customer satisfaction on it. So the supplemental allocation you have in front of you would be to start it this year, to start it in June. That would give us 6 months of the increased cycles, and we could see where that goes. And we would also add that to the budget for 2022.
Now, the question was, why is it coming out of reserve? Many people had questions about that.
The reason, 2 reasons. One is a lot of what we are doing, what we propose to do. You can see this in attachment 3. We have determined 4 of the tasks that we perform regularly in the shrub bed maintenance cycle due to the age of the facilities that we have here. A lot of it does fall into reserves, which is preserving assets and protecting the value of the assets that we have or reestablishing the assets. So these 4 items here are what we determined. I worked with Betty and her staff to determine which ones actually would fit into reserves. Keep in mind, we currently are doing sloped renovation in reserves too. So landscaping does qualify for reserves, and trees are also in reserves. So this is where we would fund these additional positions would be, and that would be 9 additional staff positions to add that additional cycle.
Okay. Andre, do you want to make the motion, and then we'll have discussion?
Not really.
Okay. I will make the motion that we accept the supplemental allocation for performance and improvements to increase the service level to 5 cycles. Is there a second on that?
I second it.
Thank you. All right. It looks like Manuel has a comment and Andre. Manuel, go ahead, please. You're muted.
Thank you. First, I want to point out that it was provided that showed how many tickets had been submitted, and I'll just cover 2020. We had over 8,000 tickets. Of that, even though it said 60-some% had to do with some of the areas that residents weren't satisfied with, as far as the shrub bed, only 1,600 tickets had to do with that. Most of that work is maintenance work. Okay? In order for the funds to come out of reserves, it's supposed to be something that either replaces the existing asset or lengthens the useful life. If all you're doing is maintaining, like any of our real estate improvements, we do maintenance all the time, and that all gets expensed. The only time it comes out of reserves is when we have a replacement. So if you were, let's say, replanting an area and replace some of the shrubs, yeah, you could make a case for that kind of reserve. As far as the rest of it, as far as pruning the shrubs, cleaning the shrubs, picking up more leaves, doing lawn repairs, that is maintenance. That does not come out of reserves. And it takes a big stretch. And yeah, granted, DMS has done this before. They've taken what they were paid for out of operating funds and reclassified them out of reserves. And the board just went right along with it without even questioning it. It's the issue. Nobody cared. So here we got an expenditure of $500,000 a year, of which you'd be lucky to be able to justify 10% of it as being maybe covered by reserves because it is a new planting, not because it's some kind of maintenance or some kind of trimming or cleanup work. So I'm totally opposed to this. First of all, it shouldn't come out of reserves. Second of all, it's just an increase of $500,000 in the budget that the only benefit you're going to get is strictly aesthetic. Maybe the residents will be satisfied with it. I don't think so. I think you're still going to have tickets where people are not going to be satisfied with the quality of work. And that's just the nature that we have with landscape. Kurt is doing a very good job of trying to maintain our landscape. It doesn't matter. People are still going to complain.
Thank you for your input.
I'm totally opposed to spending this money, and it cannot be justified out of reserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Andre?
Yes, I remember before a landscape meeting, I received a call from you, from the United President, say, we want to pass this project. And I was asking, where does that come from? Because I haven't really got the reports from them yet. Your response was, you think it's important, so we need to pass it. And I have a problem with this chain of command process, that you agreed with something and trying to push through our committee to accept it. I don't understand the reason why. And while I was in the committee meeting reviewing this project, I found some holes in there. Okay, exactly like Manny mentioned, this is a maintenance project. It should stay in the maintenance. We spend the same amount of money, and 38 people are in operating fund. Now 9 people are in reserve fund. I don't know how it come about this issue. So my question at this point is, we need to establish a chain of command. if you want to do something, prefer to do something, you have to get me involved in the very beginning, okay, rather than say, this is a good decision. I've already made a decision, and you probably need to pass it too, okay? This influence and interrupt my independent thinking of the committee. I don't think that's the right way to do it, okay? And also, as far as the maintenance, I don't have the information as far as what is causing this problem. Somehow, Manny has the statistics, but I don't. Okay, and that's what I'm looking for in the statistics and say, what is the problem? What is the issue? What is the return? Seems like we are dumping everything. Now that we started asking statistics, asking for justification, everybody is dumping everything into customer satisfaction. It's for customer satisfaction, so we have no justification. Okay, I don't think that the board director need to just say, okay, there's no justification. We'll just take your words. The customer
Right, your time is up. Thank you for your input.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I do agree that we should have this additional cycle, because I have lived here for 16 years and I haven't had any shrubbery replaced. They just came out and yanked up half of my rosemary bush that's falling apart. And they don't replace anything I mean, you walk up and down my block and it looks a mess. And I think it's because it needs new shrubbery, new plants. I mean, not just plants, but new shrubs, that are more durable, that will last. And I think it's like a small price to pay to make this community better. Thanks.
Thank you.
President Margolis, we also have a member comment on this item.
Yep, that was.
I'm in the chat box, Sue.
Okay, Carl, go ahead, and then we'll get Dick Rader on.
I have two things. One has to do with the fact I see a supplemental allocation of $250,000, and yet I'm hearing it's $500,000. What is it really? What is it going to be? How much are we going to spend next year for 2022 budget, and what are we going to spend this year?
Okay. This year it'll be $250,000. Next year it'll be $500,000.
Okay, so we're talking about $500,000. Now, I don't know whether or not it should come out of reserve or whether it should come out of operating. We can basically debate this till the cows come home, and I don't think we'll ever get the right answer. But as far as the other things are concerned, I'm in agreement with Manny. I think that no matter what we do, spending $500,000 is still going to not be enough, and we're going to have complaints, and then we're going to spend $1 million, and then we're still going to have complaints. And I don't see this going anyplace, okay? So I'm going to vote against this because I don't think we want to spend another $500,000 for next year to do something that I think we're still going to get a lot of complaints on, and it's sort of like it's a diminishing return as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the timer's up. Go ahead and patch Dick in, please.
Thank you. I had several thoughts. $500,000. Wow. We have so many other things that are pressing, and we're considering $500,000. And what's the return? Well, first of all, let me ask a question. We hear that there have been complaints about landscaping, but is that the majority of the community? Have we ever gone to the community and asked them, we're planning to do X, and then specify exactly what this extra cycle is going to do? And then ask them, are you willing to pay $500,000? It seems that this thing is being driven by the complainers, rather, which I believe is probably a minority, unless somebody can tell me otherwise. So I would have, if I were doing this, I would have put out to the community, here's what we plan to do, exactly the steps we're going to take with regard to spending this $500,000, and then see what happens. I also agree that, well, let's put it this way. If you do perchance pass this, I think what you should do is say you're passing it with the exception. The exception is that you're going to monitor the complaints and see how much they decrease. Otherwise, you're spending the $500,000 with the hope that it will decrease. The last point I'll make, I agree with Diane that, you know, maybe some shrubs should be replaced, etc. But it's not specified in this thing that this is what this is about, that shrubs will be replaced. So, Diane, I think that you ought to ask before you vote whether that is going to be part of this process. Otherwise, you'll be voting for something that isn't going to cure what you wanted. So, in essence, I would say $500,000 on the hope that the complaints are going to decrease, I think is a stretch. Please reconsider.
Okay, thank you. Betty, are you here with us to explain? Well, I think
I had a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Brian.
Chat box twice. No, that's okay. In my concern, you know, it's debatable about the affected landscape, impact landscape, and that sort of thing. I'm concerned about the reserve budget. It is in yellow, and it could be heading towards red. We're going to take money out of it. It's been characterized as a loan. I don't see that in the resolution, so there's no guarantee that money will be put back into reserves. So I would reconsider this resolution with more detail in how the reserve budget will be treated. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, let's just go ahead and vote. I think we've gotten enough, and I think we know what the vote's going to be. Elsie?
I vote yes.
Netta?
Abstain.
Manuel?
No.
Azar?
No.
Diane?
Yes.
Reza?
No.
Carl?
No.
Andre?
No.
Brian?
No.
Okay, it doesn't pass. We move on. Okay, I forgot to take 12C off. I had a conversation with the lawyer. We cannot put in equities. We have no, we can't do this, so that is not on the, if we do put in equities, each of the directors would be liable if the stock went down one day. A resident could sue us for that one day, even if it went back up the next day. So I don't want to take that liability on, and I don't think any of you do. So C is off. So we're now on to D.
Hey, hooray for the attorney for once. I agree with him 100%. Thank you.
Thank you for the outburst. Let's move on to D. Steve, would you like to give us a little bit about this?
Yes, thank you. So the recommendation is staff recommends the board approve the Finance Committee's endorsement to adopt a policy of temporary borrowing money from the reserve fund to pay for operating expenditures consistent with the Davis-Sterling Act and Civil Code Section 5515. Payback of borrowed monies to the advancing fund is not to exceed 3 months. So the goal of this is to, in order to administer the payment that we pay specifically for property taxes, that's the primary concern. In April, there is a borrowing that needs to occur in order to cover the 2 months of assessment. So simply put, every month through your assessment, so $1 million is collected. So by April, in 4 months collected, yet in April, there's a $6 million payment that comes due. So the recommendation is to borrow money temporarily from the reserve fund so that the payment can be made to the county and have that money returned to the advancing fund, is the replacement fund, within a period of 3 months. So what we'll be doing is providing a projection to the Finance Committee, making a recommendation for the amounts being borrowed, the reason, and then once again, the term that is to be repaid. So once the committee approves that recommendation, it will go before the board and recorded via resolution, all of which is consistent with civil code.
Thank you.
Madam President, we have a member comment on this agenda
but we
item.
need to make a motion first here, and then we can have comments. Thank you. I know we do. Okay. Azar, do you want to make the motion?
Yes, I will make a motion. Let me read it. I will make a motion to entertain a motion to approve temporary borrowing from operating and reserve fund.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, now we can go to discussion, and the board gets to discuss first. So Carl, go.
I read through this document here, okay, and while in principle I totally agree because of cash flow issues, obviously there are many ways to address cash flow issues, okay? In this particular case, they're addressing it by basically borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, if you will, and then giving it back, okay? However, I didn't see anything within this documentation that says the process that will be used and how the Finance Committee will get involved in this process, because if we're going to go down that road whereby we're violating rules and what have you, then we need to have some oversight. And I'm not saying you guys are doing anything wrong. I'm just saying if we're going to basically borrow from one to pay the other and then give it back, then I think the Finance Committee needs to have some sort of say in the matter, just as at least as a look-see, or specifically at a meeting or something that specifically says that there's some sort of oversight happening. Whether that oversight is just a matter of a high sign or whatever, but we need to establish some sort of oversight. And I don't see anything in this document that indicates that there's oversight here. You know, we went down this road and we pointed it out. Let's now establish the oversight and see where that goes. And that's, unless we have oversight here, I would have to vote against it unless we say we're going to entertain oversight and put it in the actual document here.
Okay, we are going to have oversight. Azar, go ahead. If your hands are up all the time, I can't tell if you just want to comment on a new thing or no.
My hand is not up, President. My hand is not up. I just put question.
No, I'm just commenting to Manuel and Andre.
Yes, Manuel and Andre, yes.
Thank you.
I would like to respond to what Carl says. I think Steve explained that they are proposing. It's not something that they can go and grab the money from the reserve. They are proposing, they are writing what is the reason that they want to take this money, how they are going to pay it, and when is going to be the deadline for paying that back. So this is the number one. I want everybody knows. And number two is every month we receive the statement. So that money shows that is coming to the operating account. That money is not going to a Steve's bank account. It's going to go to an operating account, and everybody can see how that money is spending. I want this to be clear for all the boards if they be agree with that one. Otherwise, there's going to be a shortage, and it's going to be, that's why we put it 3 months. It's not going to happen, and it's not going to be more than 2 months. Steve, you didn't put this one here, that not more than 2 times in a year, because we are concerned only for the taxes. If you remember, we talked about that in the finance meeting. So with that explanation, I hope this be clear why this is happened. It's not necessary by approving that it is gonna given to them. They have to bring the proposal in the finance committee, and finance committee is gonna go over that, and we'll figure out if it is necessary or not necessary based on the statement and how much money budget is in the operating account. That's the comment regarding to what Carl said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Manuel?
Thank you, Sue. I agree with some of the things Carl said. That's that in principle, it's a good idea. Because after all, I was the one that brought up the non-compliance with Civil Code 5515 in David Sterling. And this is not new. This has been going on for years. And the only reason this was, let's say, so obvious was when we set up the separate bank account for the reserve funds. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to correct. First of all, the title is wrong. This is temporary loans from the reserve account to operating account. It doesn't involve loans back and forth. It involves operating, borrowing from reserves, period. So that title needs to be. Second, in order for us to approve this, so we have some control, because having control over how VMS operates is very important. We have to recognize what we have as far as fact. And that's what I want to point out to you. June 28th was the latest financial statements that we had. And on those financial statements, it shows that the operating cash that the operating account has is $3.7 million, okay? That excludes that $615,000 that's actually bank account, okay? But that's shown the right way on the statement, even though the money's in operating bank account. Second point is that in that same financial statement, the only reason it has $3.7 million is because it's taken money from reserves of $5.5 million. At February 28th, if it didn't have that $5.5 million, it would be overdrawn by $2 million. Now, in this analysis that's been put together, it says that property taxes of $5.9 million are going to come, well, they just came this last couple of days. So it means if they only had $3.7 million and they still owe $5.5 to get to there, just to pay the $5.9, forget any other operating expenses, they had to come up with another $2.2 million. Where's that going to come from? From reserves. So that means that $5.5 million is now $7.7. And this is based on February. Who knows how much worse that between then and now. So in order for us to approve this, a cash flow projection needs to be done, because Civil Code 5515 not only has to identify how the money was used, and we'll accept that it was used for property taxes. It's probably used all over the map, but we'll accept that. Then we have to show where the monies are going to come in order to repay this debt. I don't think they're going to be able to come up with $7.7 million, because once through this resolution, there shouldn't be any more amounts owed to the reserve fund, according to the initial statements. How are they going to come up with $7.7 million? We need to see that. We need the plan.
Your time is up.
This cannot be approved currently the way it is now. So
you had 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Andre, you're next.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak about this issue. And I totally agree with Manny's. Just to follow up, I know he didn't have the time. We definitely need to have a cash flow report to justify whether this money is payable or not. We don't want to just blindly grant that. And also, I agree with that. I was going to mention that the title is wrong. Entertain a motion to approve temporary borrowing from operating and reserve funds. I don't understand what that means. Okay, I think what you're trying to say is from reserve fund to operating fund, which I have no problem. According to the David Sterling law, it's allowed. However, we do need a cash flow report to justify what's going on. Also, I agree with Azar and Carl mentioned that this needs to be reported to the board with reason and reviewed and approved by the board or committee. Okay, maybe the report to the committee. Okay. Now, there's an additional thing that I would like to talk about. Okay, it's about the project management side. Sometimes the project doesn't have to start January 1st. In that case, we need to move that project later. So when the time comes, in my business experience, we don't have this reserve fund. We don't have this extra cash sitting aside. We have to live by what we have. So a lot of projects are delayed because we don't have just don't have enough money. Although sometimes we do loans, trying to get loans to get by with that, but that will be the last resort. I really don't want this VMS to say we got the money, let's just put it in as soon as we can. Okay, I really don't like that idea. So you need to have a justification as far as what is this project, does this project have to be start January 1 or start that early? That way we'll have the better justification recommendation and also provide us the return on investment and cash flow report to justify that these loans will be paid back to the reserve. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve, please go ahead.
Thank you. As part of the staff report that you all received, included in discussion on page 3, I mentioned, so I'll read it verbatim. To meet the reporting and payback, staff shall project short-term net operating cash requirements at a frequency of no less than twice per year. Prior to net operating cash falling below zero, staff will present a financial projection to the Finance Committee and recommend a temporary use of reserve funds to meet the cash flow needs. So specific to the questions that were already addressed, that was part of the staff report that we will be providing a cash projection to the Finance Committee before any future borrowings will be made. So there was Andre, so with respect to the payments that are going out, so it's prescribed by, or it's dictated by the county that on April 10th that the payment is made. So then once again in December. So we can't really change those times of payments. And then,
okay. No, you're okay. Thank you.
And I just wanted to add to what Steve is saying, that this did go through the Finance Committee. There was a process for this reports back to Finance Committee. And this is in compliance with civil code. There's no wrongdoing. It is allowed for the association to do a short-term borrowing from reserve to cover operations. And that's what's proposed here, at least twice a year for payment of property taxes until the revenue stream from the assessments comes in specific for the property taxes. It's not for other projects, Andre, this is just the property tax, but we're talking about cash flow needs here. This is a long-standing practice in the community, and we've not done the formality of the board approving these temporary borrowings from reserve. And that's the great thing about the financials, is the more and more transparency we build into these financials, questions like this can be raised and we can address them. So it's being completely transparent. It's gone through the Finance Committee, and this is operating within the guidelines of civil code that allows you to use reserve money for operations and pay it back within a year. And so this is even more constrained and defined more narrowly than what civil code allows, as outlined in the staff report and recommended by the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Betty. I think we've had enough discussion on this.
I have just one correction to Betty's comment. Is not at least 2 times a year, is at most 2 times a year. On your, I think it's verbally you said it at least twice a year. It's not at least twice a year, at most. We agree in finance twice a year, specifically for the tax. So please correct that verbally. I am sure it's not written that one in that manner.
No, I was reading from the report. The point I was making is the civil code has no such restrictions. The civil code, at any time you can borrow money from reserve to cover your operating expenses as long as you pay it back within a year. We're putting constraints on that twice a year, specific to your property taxes. So I just want to make sure people understand that we're defining it more narrowly, much more narrowly than civil code.
Okay. Yes, and President, most of this comment that says it was redundant and we don't need it to listen again, because we discuss a huge amount of the time in the finance, and we talk about that.
I want to call for the vote at this point. I'm going to let Manuel have 1 minute, quick, and then we're going to go for the vote.
Thank you, Sue. I just want to make a comment. Betty is not telling you the truth. code requires that all these go through board approval. Yeah, going on for years, just like non-approval of reserve expenditures that went on for 12 years. That should have required.
We are not going to look at the
I just want to make sure she's not telling you the.
Manny,
Okay.
Manny,
Thank you very much.
That is exactly what I said, is this is a longstanding practice, and with the different way that the financials have been reported lately, for more transparency, then yes, you brought it to our attention that board approval is required, and that's what we're pursuing. There's been no delay between that point being brought up and us coming up with a solution that gets board approval.
Okay,
So,
there's one more comment
We've
from.
never been compliant, period. We've never been compliant.
Okay, everybody quiet. Paul, Eileen, would you read the comment from John Beckett, please?
Yes, you have a comment from John Beckett at 364Q regarding this agenda item. Every homeowner in United Mutual is required to pay property taxes to Orange County. However, we don't pay our taxes directly to the county. We pay United, and United pays the tax collector. In the past 6 months, we paid United approximately $6 million in property tax assessments. But this month, when the property taxes were due, United had only $4 million in the bank. In order to make up the shortage, VMS transferred $2 million from United's reserve fund. VMS is now asking the board to approve their actions and to authorize VMS to take the same actions in the future. Whenever an association collects money for a specific purpose, a constructive trust is created by operation of law. Spending the money for any other purpose is a crime. If you authorize VMS to spend this money that we entrusted to you for property taxes, you will be exposing United Mutual and yourselves to liability. Please vote no.
Okay.
President Margolis, we also have a comment from Richard Rader, if you would like to hear that at this time.
Okay, go ahead. I think we're going to take the vote. Richard can come in after the vote. I don't think it's going to change anybody's vote. So, Addington.
Yes.
Netta.
Abstain.
Manuel.
No, not until it's revised and we're provided more information.
Okay. You get your vote.
No.
Azar. Azar?
Yes, only for purpose and twice a year, only.
Okay. Diane?
Yes.
Reza?
No.
Pearl?
No, this, if we went through 1515, we went through this whole process, we brought this up, we made a big deal out of this, okay, and now there's nothing specifically stipulating that they will provide a report to us at each finance committee meeting to specifically state what got done.
No, they are going to provide it.
We're not getting, all we're getting is spreadsheets, okay? And that's not an approval to me. Approving a spreadsheet does not specifically say that this is what they wanted approved. So, no, until it gets changed.
Andre?
No.
Brian?
No.
Okay, it doesn't pass.
Okay, can I just add one thing? Please, all board members and residents know that at this point, without even borrowing, the money is in the operating. We wanted to get a control back to the reserve account. The money is totally in, except a percentage, the money of the reserve is in the operating at this moment. I want everybody knows that.
Okay.
I think we understand that. It's just the procedure is not right. If we don't get the procedure right.
All right, Andre, we discussed it. We're going on. Manuel, we're on to number E.
Excuse me.
Dick.
I got cut off, but I'd just like to make a clarifying point for everybody. Before you proceed, I suggest that you look at Civil Code 5515. It'll answer all your questions regarding how you will know what's going on. It actually says it doesn't go to Finance Committee, it goes to the board. The board has to approve all of these transfers. And so I think that would answer a lot of these issues. Please read that. 5515.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're moving on. Manuel? You're muted.
Okay, Dick, we know all about 5015. I brought it up. Okay. 12D, appointment of a new treasurer, and a recommendation to change that officer. So I move that we reconsider a election of a new treasurer, and I would like to nominate.
You can't nominate, you can just
Okay.
remove. We first have to vote for removal.
Okay. So I guess the issue is to vote for the removal of the present treasurer to replace her with a new treasurer.
Okay, is there a second for that motion?
I second it.
Thank you. Okay, is there we will take I'd like you to send your votes to
Please make it resident wants to know.
I can't make it an open vote
Why not?
because that's
What
not
are
the
you
way.
afraid?
We
What
can't
are you
make
afraid?
we do not make this an open vote.
What are you afraid?
So we'll go through the chat box, right?
Right, we're going through the chat box.
Why residents should not know?
The residents will know the outcome of the vote.
May I ask, what is the reason for that? Or there's just no reason?
There doesn't have to be a reason. Everything can be done without a reason.
And so you're purposely trying to make it a no reason?
No, it's always, excuse me, Madam President, it's always a confidential vote for officers. That's how we've always had it.
When we vote for the officers, it's an open vote.
No, it is a confidential vote.
It is a confidential vote. It's in the bylaws.
We need to nominate.
We are voting right now. We're voting
to remove the present treasurer first. So that's what the motion was.
Sure, I'm ready for that. Manny, hold on. Come on, Manny.
What?
You don't get enough attention? Okay, come on.
No, we're going to go vote, and who we're going to
Sure.
Could the instructions for voting be restated, please?
Yeah.
Okay. You need to send your vote a yes to remove the treasurer or a no to not remove the treasurer to the, let me find the name.
Conference organizer?
Conference organizer.
Okay.
Right. I can't.
I don't see conference organizer. I just see.
You have to press the down arrow.
Oh.
I have a proxy from Cash.
No proxies are available.
Sorry, Sue. When I go to the chat and then I go all the way down.
If you go to the two, then you can push a little arrow down next to whatever name you've got listed there. And
the other thing you could do is you put a C in there and it will show you conference. Put the
No,
C.
it says send to the conference organizer. And then when I just open it and go all the way down, and go to the conference organizer and click on that, again, bring me to the same page that everybody can see my vote.
No, you want to do a direct message. It'll say to conference order direct message.
I have no idea.
After you send your message, it'll appear in the chat box, but it'll say it's from you to the conference organizer. Nobody else will see it except that person.
Yeah, okay, I will do that. Sure.
Does that help?
I hope so. I feel that maybe it's right, but I said that let me ask first.
It should have in red direct message. We aren't seeing your vote. We are not seeing your vote.
Okay.
I have a concern that we don't have any discussion on this issue. And we vote straight.
Well, that's your concern.
For motions, shouldn't we have a discussion period?
Apparently not for this one. President Bonds? No, actually, Vice President pushing.
I don't understand it. May I have an answer why we didn't have discussion on this motion?
I missed it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so there's no more, because you missed it, we don't want to follow the procedure anymore?
Well, you can go ahead. What do you want to discuss?
Okay, I would like to withdraw this motion, hold this motion until we finish the discussion.
Well, go ahead and tell me what your discussion is. Start discussing it.
Okay. What I'm thinking is, Azar has done a fantastic job during her tenure as treasurer. She has made quite a few things happen. Okay, she may not be the most knowledgeable, but nobody else wanted to go get on that, and she's the one that worked so hard, making things happen, making changes at this point. Okay, she uncovered a lot of the issues under her tenure. And I don't understand what is the reason to remove her. So at this point, I have no way of saying follow the instructions, unless I have some personal reason against the Azar. I don't believe anybody should vote yes on that. Okay, so that's the reason I'm looking at it. I say we don't have any discussion on that, and she's doing a fantastic job. She uncovered many issues. If that's not enough to keep her on the same position, in the past, when Gary Morrison was on the treasurer,
we do not mention names.
Okay, when in the past there are treasurers that refuse to let people speak anything disagree with the VMS. And anybody who disagree with that will be kicked out. Azar has tried her best, bringing all the opinions to the board, to the committee. So I'm wondering why is the reason? Okay, unless there's some personal reason that people don't want to disclose. There's ego involved. Okay, I just don't like Azar. I want to vote her out. That's not the right reason to vote. We have to look at the
I have the same question.
Okay. Have we got the votes in yet?
President Margolis, we do have the results.
Okay.
The results are 5 for and 5 against.
Okay, it's not passed.
Okay, we're done. All right, let's go to committee reports. Andre, okay, we're going on to committee reports. Let's start with the finance.
One moment.
Okay. We had a finance committee on March 30th, 2021, and we will have, this report is about that, but the next meeting is April 27, 2021 at 1:30. The first page that you can see is about the total revenue. You can see the total revenue is 7.6 million compared to the total expenses 6.4 million. We received a net revenue in favor of United for 1.1 million. We get a little bit to the detail of that. And the page 2, this is the operating fund without depreciation. And as you can see, without that, the total revenue is 5.8 million, which the total expenses is 5.2 million. The operating supplies came up with 662,000. That's only for operating, not including the reserve account. And on page 3, if we can have page 3, in this page, we're comparing actual with budgeting. On total statement, you can see the first column is actual when you're comparing to the budget. If you go to the total revenue, you can see the budget was 7.8 million, while the actual spending was 7.6, and the total expenses was 6.4, the actual, while the budgeting was 7.9. So it was in favor of the United by $1.4 million. And for the next page, we are going a little bit in the detail where that surplus came compared to the budget. Outside services, we got it about almost 1,974,000. And this shows a better picture for you that how that 1.1 million extra in revenue in detail. Employee compensation in favor of United was 260,000. Is a result of M&C department and landscape due to limited service during the COVID. And after that, again, in favor of the United is material and supplies is 159,000, followed by property tax, 66,000 due to lower property tax expenses than anticipated. The only negative one is the investment. The investment was down, although it was bond and fixed income. Unfortunately, we had it at 225,000 unfavorable to the United. In page 5, we show this assessment in the pie chart. So in the pie chart, you can see that is a better way for the seeing in the eyes. 45% of the total assessment revenue of 272,000 is from fee and charges, and followed by 16% of laundry and resale processing fee 10%. And the rest for miscellaneous and collection and then lease processing is about 5% each. This give you a detail where those non-assessment revenue comes. If you go to page 6, please. In this page shows again pie chart, but total expenses. As we showed in the first page, $6.4 million was the total expenses. So you can see 34% is compensation, and please understand this is including property tax, and 30% property tax. In the next slide, we take that one off because residents pay property tax separately and is not included in this one. So insurance is 10%, utility 10%, and going down to the allocation for 5%. This is a pie chart for the expenses. On the right side, you can see the utilities, water, trash, and electricity and telephone by the month. In page 7, if we can have that one. In this page, we have the same slide of 6, but without property tax. This shows exactly how the assessment money just spent on the
Director Asghari, I apologize. It seems that we're having a technical issue. Let me try to reconnect really quickly.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your participant ID followed by You have entered the meeting as a panelist. Attendees can now hear you speak.
I don't know if there's been a loss of, I will call.
Okay.
Well, all right,
that's a
we have
that, resident can see how their money.
We have regained audio connection.
Sue, I think Grant is having troubles with his computer.
Yeah. Okay. Azar, report some of the numbers to the people, and we'll just.
Okay. Sure. The next page is.
Director Asghari, we have reconnected our audio connection.
So should I wait or go?
We're ready
We
for
are
the
good to
next
proceed.
page.
Okay, great.
Grant, can you put up page 8, please?
This is the page that most residents are concerned to see. It's about talking about the funds, contingency, and reserve. You can see at the beginning, the balance was 921,000 in contingency and 20.2 in reserve. By the current balance, if you look at the end, the last line, contingency has a little bit above $1 million and reserve at $20 million. So the total together is close to $22 million. Can we go to the next page, please? We are normally comparing with the last 5 years to see where the contingency fund is stand for. So you can see that the tiny line is the average, and we are a little bit above because the average is a little bit above 21, and we are at the $20.6 million for the contingency fund. So compared to the average last 5 years, we are in a good position. The next page is about resale that I know many people are concerned to know about that. When you're comparing to 2019, we normally compare 3 years. You can see the number of resale for this year was 61, which is a 61, which for comparing to the last 2 years, 20 and 21 is above. And the good news is the price is standing higher. Average price of the units was $260,000. So with that, we are done with the report of the finance. However, I have that was the treasury report for that. But regarding to the President, regarding to, because you are putting this A together, 1, 2, 3, United Finance Committee report. There, if you're reading that report to the part that Mr. Ernesto wrote, the writing in that is not what Mr. Ernesto said. We didn't bring Mr. Ernesto to talk about appliances. I don't know who wrote this minute. It was about all of the sudden we receive a huge amount of the invoices about above $600,000, and we asked why this, and they said it comes from Department of Ernesto. So Mr. Ernesto came to explain why they are not sending these invoices on time, and they send it about 4 months late. Yes, we are in the April, about 4 months later. So please correct that part. If that part is you wanted to make it together, this motion is not correct. So they have to correct that word before we make a motion.
We'll do that in the finance committee when we correct the minutes. All right, let's go on to architectural and control. Brian?
I asked a question about, remind everybody there's a problem, potential issue there with our money.
There is no potential issue, Andre, and save your question.
No,
this is just
that's the issue, that you don't see that there's a potential issue, and I'm seeing. I want to share with everybody. You can talk about it after I share with everybody.
Okay. Save it for director comments. Thank you. Let's move on, Brian.
Yes, there was an architectural meeting on March 18th. The next one was postponed by a few days to April 19th. Bye.
Okay. Any report on it? Thank you. Member hearings. Elsie?
The March 25th member hearings handled 8 delinquent accounts. Those people did not show up for hearing, but 5 people did under individual disciplinary. These were not delinquent accounts. The hearings included occupancy violations and the common area violations, damage restoration reimbursement, and the next, and staff. I wanted to really compliment staff because juggling this all around with people coming in at the wrong time and trying to keep it confidential, they did a really outstanding job of coordination on this particular meeting, which they usually do. Our next meeting is April 22nd.
Thank you. Governing docs now, Elsie.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The regular meeting of the United Woods, Laguna Woods Mutual Governing Documents Committee was held on Thursday, March 18th. It was a virtual meeting. We discussed and we received a report from staff on resale processes efficiencies, which we voted on today. And we had an update on the various goals of the committee, which are, several of them are coming right along, including the director SOPs. We had the SOPs for directors and the guarantor policy. It turned out that the guarantor policy wasn't really the guarantor policy. What Cash Ashrakar wanted to discuss really were some of his concerns over how we can prepare for possible problems coming from the new law that just took effect January 1st. And our next meeting will be on April 15th. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Landscape, Andre.
Yes, we went to the meeting on April 8th, 2021 last week, and department update about the project management. We have some issue about project management because some of them I just discovered that some of the project management budget, staff budget, in-house crew budget are from reserve. So, but I've never seen any breakdown of our employee compensation by reserve, by project. So we probably need to look into that. That's 49% is about half of our budget, and it's just a lump sum into employee compensation. There's no detailed breakdown. Where does those employee compensation spend? I would like to bring it to the finance committee and share with that. And also, I was trying to request contract information on this project because I used this one as a reference for the payment and history and invoice payment history. And I was warned that these numbers, I shouldn't use this one because this is not accurate compared to payment history. That leads me to even a bigger problem that if this is not accurate, what are we using it for? Okay, we will talk about this during the landscape committee meeting. Okay, so that's one of the major issues that we have. The second major issue is, hold on one second. I'm trying to get.
Please prepare your notes ahead of time.
Yeah. I'm moving back and forth on this one. And also, we didn't have a chance to present the KPI workload analysis report because I don't have the ticket data to present. I believe I found some repeating issue cases, and also I noticed that the trend seems to be trending higher and higher. Just like manual automation.
These are the reports that you should be putting into landscape. When's the next meeting, please?
And also, we were trying to find out what's the budgeting procedure is. And at this point, VMS doesn't seem to be able to present that kind of procedure. I thought they are already working on that. That should be a straightforward answer. But we did have reviewed some reserve expenditure operating procedures that we received from finance committee. that I'm sharing with landscape. So we will continue check the actual expense and budget expense.
Okay, thank you for your report. We got to move on. We haven't got much time. Carl, would you go ahead on maintenance and construction?
Yeah, the last United MNC meeting took place on February 24th, and at the last board meeting, I discussed what had been transacted at that meeting. Our next meeting will be a virtual meeting that is scheduled for April 28th at 9:30 a.m. All residents are invited, and you can participate via Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Netta, do you have anything to report on communication?
No, we have just the last Friday, we have a meeting with the Media and Communication Department, and we are working on how we can prepare the talking point on TV and how we can improve the media and communication. That's it. And the next meeting is going to be announced.
Thank you. Azar, do you have anything on GRF finance?
GRF did not have any meeting on March, so I don't have anything new for this month, but the next meeting is April 21, 2021, April 21 at 1:30 p.m.
Okay, Andre, did this the Strategic Planning Committee for Service meet? I guess not. Elsie, do you have the CAC, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The regular meeting of the Community Activities Committee met on April the 8th, and we talked, about COVID and the opening up. Everything changes almost day to day, and Jeff gave us a good report this morning. We talked about COVID tier presentation, and then there was this a big conversation from the chair about shared fee financial analysis update, and which was sort of a brainstorming session. And then we also discussed the issue with the speed bumps at Garden Center 2. The next meeting will be May 13th at 1:30. Thank you.
Okay. Andre, GRF landscape. But they haven't met recently, so I don't think there's any report. We'll go to GRF maintenance and construction.
So I can report on GRF because I attended the meeting, okay? And there are a few things. Kurt reported on the fact that they planted manuals at the different gates at the entryways. Also, they planted 9 trees at the equestrian center. The update work done on the creek. They had recently cut the cattails. However, there still are a number of members that have their unit or the manor at the creek, either up above or down below. And so a request was made about maybe cutting them a second time. And so I made a motion to approve $13,000 for consultancy fees to cover the cattails twice a year, because you have to have a biologist present in order to approve doing that. So, and that's coming out of GRF. So that $13,000 expenditure was voted unanimously. And that's what we covered at the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Thank you very much. And as far as mulching mowers and increasing level service, mulching mowers, it's being killed. Although I do feel there's a good chance. It's a good project. We just don't have sufficient cost-benefit analysis to justify it. And
okay, we're moving on to Maintenance and Construction Committee, GRF.
The GRF M&C Committee meeting, we had a meeting on February 9th, and at the last board meeting, I discussed what had happened at that meeting. Our next meeting will be a virtual meeting. It's scheduled for tomorrow morning, April 14th at 9:30, and you can participate by Zoom. I'll also do the Clubhouse One Ad Hoc Committee. Clubhouse One Ad Hoc Committee met on Tuesday, March 23rd at 10 a.m. It was a virtual meeting. At the meeting, we interviewed potential architectural firms that would be doing a programmatic study to collect data and provide input to the community as to what we need to do with Clubhouse 1, how that may relate to the use of other clubhouses, and an estimate of the cost associated with any of these activities. We will be addressing this over the next number of months. This Clubhouse 1 potential project is a long-term effort and will take a while to make decisions with input from residents, which will be part of that programmatic study. A follow-up meeting is not currently scheduled. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Netta?
For the media and communication, our meeting on March 15 canceled, and the next meeting going to be April 19 at 1:30 p.m. virtual meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Elsie, mobility?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The regular meeting of the Mobility and Vehicles Committee met on April the 7th. The primary, we had a director's report and the ridership data and all that. And then the big thing was the vehicle purchase of 4 F-350 trucks. Those are the big 1-ton pickup trucks. And the trucks weren't dilapidated, but the California Air Resources Board mandate to get rid of diesel engines completely came earlier than was anticipated. And so we were going to replace them next year, but we had to replace them this year. However, the miscellaneous vehicle budget was still adequate to cover that. And so we're not over budget, but we had to replace those trucks. So the next meeting will be June 2nd, 2021. Thank you.
Okay, and the security and community, Manuel?
Thank you, Sue. The last meeting that we had was held on February 22nd, 2021. Reported on that the last board meeting. We have a meeting in March, and our next meeting will be April 26th at 1:30 p.m. as a virtual meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Traffic, Netta?
The traffic hearing held on March 17, but we have just one person, and she didn't show up, and we just adjourned the meeting very soon. And the next one is going to be April 21 at 9 o'clock.
Thank you. Disaster preparedness, Diane?
Yes, the Disaster Preparedness Task Force met on March 30th. They elected a new chair, Juanita Skillman, and the Village Energy Subcommittee has bids for the microgrid installation and a backup generator at the security building, and the radio antenna at the towers. Bruce Bonbright reported that the repeater will be ordered and installed upon receiving frequencies for the repeater. And Juanita mentioned that our phone numbers will be moving to 10 digits instead of 7 in April. And the next meeting will be May 25th.
Thank you. Okay, the Insurance Ad Hoc Committee has not had a meeting. We are expecting another bid next week, and we will be working on what the next year's insurance needs to look like. We're going to go on to future. We have not added any future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items to be added? Okay, we're going to go for.
I would like to see if we can put okay. Never mind.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to director's comments. We'll start with you, Andre.
Yes, I have 2 issues here. Well, actually 3 issues. Employee compensation is about 50%, split among operating, reserve, and contingency. We have never had a visibility of what they are, how they spend it. We just say, okay, this is the compensation we spend, aggregate amount. There's no distinction between reserve and a contingency and operating fund. There's no distinguish how much we spend on which contract. So it leaves the board member on the payment, the invoice payment, to really do the research, find out what's happening there. We probably need to bring up to the finance committee and look into that and present, so we know that how this 50%, that's we pay $110 million. How does the money spent on the employees spent on the employee compensation? The second thing is I had a security issue with my cul-de-sac, that for some reason there is a used car sales that's bringing 3-4 used cars, taking over parking space, and as a result, the residents need to park on the street. I thought you had a meeting, and I wanted to attend, but you represented the whole United. So it's still happening there. I don't know what's happening. Any kind of resolution. I think I already got preventive resolution already. Okay, I just don't know. What action has taken. Are they taking the corrective preventive action? The third one issue is a very serious issue. A few weeks ago, one of the Asian called me and said she's being subject to some anti-Asian act, that they were doing some work there and other people come down and yelling at them, say, you lie, you steal. Okay, that kind of activity. So I went over to there and check it out. I don't want to take their words. Okay, so I went there to check it out. It just happens that somebody came down the stairs, and so I asked them. They say, if you want to do anything here, you have to have any activity. You have to have a written permit. Okay, I said, which one? From whom? And the guy said, from the renter. I said, well, it's already notified the renter and the tenant and the owner. Okay, so he wasn't very happy. And the next thing I know, the security came over and said, we got a report that you are stealing things. Okay, that's very serious harassment. So we explained and gave the security the phone number to verify. The verification was totally justified. The owner and the renters are all notified. They have no problem with that. So I was not very happy about, we've explained these information to those people, and they still call security trying to harass me. So I'm trying to tell the security and say, this is a harassment issue, okay? You cannot just let it go like that. And allow them to accuse us, and there's no consequence on that. And the security response.
Up, Andre.
Well, hold on one second. This is a very serious issue. Okay, the resident. Okay,
Carl.
The rest of the response.
Andre, your time is up. Thank you, Carl.
I have no comment.
Brian. Diane.
Yeah, hi. My comment is
I had no comment.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Diane?
Yeah, my comment is that I think the finance chair should not also be the treasurer. I think there should be two people on that finance committee, a treasurer and a chair.
Thank you. Reza?
I have one comment. I was trying to reach resident services. Yesterday, I was on the phone for 20 minutes. Nobody was coming down. Nobody was answering. I don't know what's happening here, because even telephone calls you cannot reach. I went once to the building and they told me this building is closed. There was a talk of putting a tent outside and having some services outside the building. That also never happened. So I'm not sure where we stand here, because it's impossible to get services. Thank you.
They have opened up a desk inside, and you can make an appointment for that desk.
When was this?
Okay.
When did they open that?
2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago at least.
I was there. They told me you cannot come inside the building.
You have to make an appointment and then you're allowed in the
But you
building.
cannot make an appointment because they don't answer the telephone calls.
Okay, you can do it through email, but we'll discuss it in the closed meeting. Azar?
Yes, I have two comments, actually three. Number one, I want to bring the attention that the report of stealing in community is going up. Almost every day we receive some in social media, from car to the bicycle to the some items that people recording that is stealing from the carport. Even they put some picture of cutting a cable, a very heavy cable. It was cut and the bicycle was gone. I want to bring this attention that we are paying huge for security and gated community. Please take a quick action. What would be the action that the VMS wants to take to bring that one? And number two, this meeting today shows a amazingly divided board, and I hope, President, you put your heart toward the residents' benefit and bring this divided board members together for the rest of the months that you have. And also regarding to the comments that Diane says, I'm sorry that she's disappointed and she's not, but a treasurer and finance chair should be one and is very hand-to-hand and related to each other. And if by chance President wants to use the power of her power and changing these two, I would step back from Treasury and give to whoever that President wish to do and follow her desire and personal issue. Thank you so much.
Okay, Manuel?
Thank you, Sue. First, I'd like to make the remark that, Sue, I want to commend you for how you are running the board and how you're running these meetings. It's not easy. And you and I always see eye to eye, but regardless of that, I voice my opinions. And you know I have no qualms about stating any dissatisfaction with VMS or any of their upper staff as far as their performance. But I usually have facts to back up any of my statements. And unfortunately, this is always going to cause a division amongst directors. And I know that when we have these meetings, when you first start out as a director, Jeff Beaumont pushes hard for unity. Frankly, all the things that I've uncovered, which are non-compliance issues, which are financial issues, nobody else has brought them up. So when Andre says all these things have all of a sudden come up, I've been trying to get these things done for years now. Finally, we're getting to that point where there's some fruition from all my efforts. So again, Sue, don't get discouraged. Keep plugging. We're not always all going to agree with you, but thanks for what you're doing. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Neda?
I just wanted to emphasize the Reza's comment and the Azar's comments about the stealing and about the people cannot contact with the resident services, because I heard a lot.
Thank you. Elsie, you're the last.
Not least, I just want to mention that, first of all, Sue, I think you've taken on a lot of extra work, but I think you're the hardest working person on this board, and except perhaps for Manny. And again, I don't agree with everything you or Manny does, but I know your heart's in the right place. And some people on the board, I don't think, realize how much Sue has supported each and every one of you when she gets a lot of complaints, both from other boards, from residents. I know I get complaints from residents and from other boards as well, so I'm sure Sue gets twice as many. And I don't think some people on the board appreciate how, to the extent that I haven't agreed with Sue at times on the support that she does give, because I think it comes to the point of enabling, one of my more boring catchphrases. But nonetheless, she's done it with her heart in the right place, which is to try to give everybody a chance to do their job and to, like maybe what she sees as enthusiasm, I see as making an unnecessary ruckus. But the point is, she has supported everybody on this board that I've ever heard complaints about. Let me just leave it at that. So that's my comment.
Thank you. We will.
Madam President?
Oh, I forgot you, Carl.
No, you didn't forget me. But however, a number of people commented about two things that are extremely important to this community. And since we're on TV, I think that Mr. Parker should address them. And that's the issue about the stealing and the issue about resident services not being able to be contacted, because, you know, they're going to feel that the board hasn't done anything about it. So at least we can get Jeff's say on the matter. That's my personal opinion. I wish we could possibly do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, Jeff, would you like to make a comment, or?
I can. So with regards to the activity that it was expressed, that I'll go back and check with our security department. If there is a stolen item or anything, you need to report it to our security. If it's not being reported, you could be talking about all kinds of things being taken. It's got to get reported so we can do a report. We also work with the Orange County Sheriff's Department if it's as significant where we have to get the Orange County Sheriff involved with any activity that's a crime. So it's important that to your resident friends, neighbors, anybody, if you have an issue, please report it to security so they can take a report and coordinate that with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. With regards to the second item that Carl brought up, yes, 2 weeks ago, we opened up resident services by appointment only. The interesting thing is we haven't been full. A couple of days we've been full, so we have spaces available for people to make appointments. To Ray's comment, I will coordinate something and make sure he gets an appointment. If you guys run into a situation, make sure you contact Siobhan or myself so that we can address it directly. And if they're not getting through or something's occurring, and we are looking at our resident services phone system and how we can upgrade that at this point in time, because we want to get to the point where we're returning everybody's calls as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Could you please, I make a comment that Mr. Parker put information that you said so resident knows. These are in the social media that they are writing. Maybe they don't know for bicycle or items that is stolen, they have to report it to the security. We appreciate if you put in the paper, I don't know, somehow that they understand they have to report it. So in that case, they know.
The meeting is going to be
blast and provide that information, as well as we continue to put it in the blast all the time with regards to resident services and how to contact that. So yes, we will. Okay, we're going to adjourn. We're going to adjourn the meeting, and we'll get back together at, let's see, 12:45.